would need a whole Zeus security team to get me off of Nelly's ass after he said that shit on national TV. On national streaming TV. Oh my God. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let Me Just Say This. If you are new here, hello, hi, welcome to the vibe, welcome to the tribe. Go ahead and subscribe because you are going to love it here. And if you're returning, hey Bookie, how are you? I hope you're having a great day today. And if you're watching on the YouTube, as you should, go support the channel. Please, please, please. Everything in the description. Hello, I see you, you see me, you look good, I look good. Let's go ahead and get into today's topic. Now, if you stuck around to the end of the last episode, I'll let you guys know that today we are finally, I've been meaning to speak on this for a very long time, but we are finally talking about the fundamentalist Christian girl character arc that has taken over social media. And some of your faves or some of your not so faves have been seeking out the Lord. And one thing about it, and two things for sure, I love to see it, but I hate to see it when it's only for the sake or desire of a man. And we're gonna talk about Christianity, patriarchy, and I'm gonna let you guys in on my journey as well, because you know, I recently found the Lord as well, girl. I'm just not in the deep end like some of these other girls are. And we're gonna get on that. But before we talk about that, we're gonna get into this past week's hot topics, because not only did the internet shenan, girl, the government shenan as well. So we're going to talk very briefly because I don't want to harp on it too much, even though it is profoundly important. But we're going to talk about the big brutal bill, what I like to call it, the most recent budget bill that was passed by Congress in the US of A. So if you live in the US of A, babe, this is for you, honey. We are also going to touch on the Ashanti and Nelly drama. Now, if you were living under a rock or you don't know who Ashanti is, babe, they are going in on her on TikTok, or they were at least at the time of recording this. So we're going to talk about that as well. So let's just go ahead and get right on into it. I'm going to make this brief because I know you most likely did not come here to talk about politics. It's all over social media already, and it's already extremely draining as it is. But you know, we're going to keep it real over here, and we're going to talk about important things as well as some of the fun things, some of the drama. But it is so important that you are aware of what's going on. If you live in the United States, these things will impact you. And it is profound that you understand what's going on and that you're tapped in, honey, because the revolution will not be televised. So we're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill, which is the budget bill that was passed in Congress. Oh, girl, when I tell you, people are blowing a gasket over this bill, and I'm not going to lie, they have absolutely every right to. Even the Republican Party was at a stalemate within itself about passing this bill. That's how you know it's bad, girl, because usually they put up a united front. The Democrats, you know, they all voted no. Every last one of them, okay? Now, the Republicans, there was a little squabble. They were tussling about it. And then, of course, they did what Daddy said, and they voted yes. They passed the bill. So I just want to give you a quick rundown of the actual real life implications. And I also want to remind you that a lot of these things are not going to go into place until after the midterms, right? Which is congressional voting in 2026, okay, which you can vote and change out your representatives. So be paying attention. That's happening in 2026, okay? And then a lot of the cuts don't even start until the next election or after the next election, which is 2028. So most of these things, with the exception of the vast and substantial increase to the ICE budget, will not be immediate impacts, okay? So I want you to keep that in mind, and do not forget that these things are looming. They are coming. It's coming, even though you may not see it right away. So let's start with cuts to social programs. And I have this on my phone right now because I really want to be sure that I give you guys correct information. And please feel free to fact check me. You should be fact checking every piece of information you find. I tried my best to use sources that were credible and not distinctly leaning to one side or another. So I wanted to be sure that I got the right information for you guys. So starting with a big one, which is cuts to social programs. And I want to be very specific because not everybody understands the difference between Medicaid and Medicare. Medicare, and I have this pulled up so I can give you the right information. Medicare is for elderly people. and disabled people primarily. So people 65 and up and people with disabilities. They receive or are eligible more so to receive Medicare, right? Medicaid is for low income individuals and families. There were cuts to Medicaid, okay? And probably some to Medicare as well. But specifically, there's been a large focus on Medicaid. So, as you can imagine, this is going to impact a lot of minority communities. This is going to impact a lot of low income communities. Okay. Rural America is going to suffer. There are a lot of medical facilities and clinics and hospitals who get their funding this way. Without it, they will either shut down or pass off the cost to insurance, which then passes off the cost to you. Your rates will go up. So profound, and it is actually very disheartening because if you know anything about the US of A's healthcare system, it is difficult enough as it is. And I want to be very specific, okay? The two biggest things in this bill, not outside of, well, I guess one, ICE, right? Giving more money to ICE so that they can fund deportation efforts, right? And challenge birthright citizenship. The second thing is cutting social welfare benefits so that they can afford to do tax cuts for the wealthiest of us, right? Which is not a large percentage of us, girl. So with that includes SNAP benefits. And I want you to understand, as a person who is a food stamp baby, I grew up on government assistance. It is absurd to think that they find it acceptable to cut benefits to families who, some of these kids, their only meal is coming from when they go to school. And people think that SNAP benefits and things like that are only for people who are collecting food stamps. No, applies to the schools as well. This applies to the children like me who are on free and reduced lunch. All of that is being challenged. All of that is being essentially taken away so that we can do tax cuts for people who don't pay taxes any damn way. Here we go. Another big thing in this bill is changes to student loans and student loan structure. So it makes it profoundly is like my word of the day. It makes it much more difficult to qualify for federal student loans. And federal student loans were preferred over private because private institutions, they can really, higher rates, okay? And it's still, even then, more difficult to get those loans. And those loans, it's like getting a payday loan. A private student loan is like getting a payday loan. They will be on your ass and you don't have as many protections. So it's really pushing a lot of people into private loans and preventing a lot of people from seeking higher education, not just a bachelor's. I'm talking about beyond that. So this bill essentially X's people out of higher level careers like doctors, like lawyers, because they cap out the federal student loan at 100 some odd $1,000. And you think that's a lot of money until you realize how much these institutions charge for these degrees, especially if you have to go for a doctorate, especially if you can't just stop at bachelor's. You have to have this money. You got to make it up elsewhere. And it's very difficult already for a lot of people to handle their student loans. This bill eliminates the SAVE Act. It eliminates the ability to defer your payments. And it also causes, basically, from the moment you get that loan, your interest will start accruing. Expectations, even if you haven't even finished your degree, you will be paying. You will be paying. Listen, if there is one thing I will forever be grateful for as a veteran, it is free education. It is free education, because when I tell you, these people do not want you to be able to afford to go to college. Clearly, they don't want you to go. They don't want you to be able to seek out higher education, and they are actively making it more difficult for you. If you don't have the bread, you're damn sure not getting it now. And I can recognize the privilege in the fact that I don't have student loans. I recognize the privilege in the fact that my education is paid for. And I thank God for that. I can't imagine how it must feel to have this looming ass student loan debt that essentially you'll be paying for the rest of your life, most likely. And hopefully the job that you get, but most likely not, will not even pay enough to really get a good return on your investment. That's the society that we're living in. And listen, I could go on and on in days about how college is a scam, girl, but I won't. I won't. This bill is like 800 some odd pages. Okay. Please do some research. Please do your due diligence. I just wanted to cover the big three. But there's a ton of other things like defunding Planned Parenthood. More men should be outraged that Planned Parenthood is being defunded. More men should be pro-choice. More men should want women to be able to make these decisions for their bodies. Because every time it is time for a decision to be made, it's laissez faire. It's, oh my gosh, that's on you. Why aren't you in it? Why aren't you speaking up for women's rights? And we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this because there are men like Nelly who will tell you, hey, when you drop that baby, I don't got nothing for that baby till it's up walking around and can entertain me. Until then, it's all on you. Those are the same men who are pro-life. Those are the same men who don't support women's rights and reproductive agency. These are the same men who are all for controlling everything women can do with their bodies, but in the same breath, they'll tell you, this is all on you anyway. In the same breath, they'll tell you, oh, I'm not in it. Okay? And I actually hate that for us. Please, 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 just please take some time to do some research and see how this is going to impact you. If you have people in your life that are on Medicare, Medicaid, people in your life who do receive food stamps and SNAP benefits, please, please, please take some time to look into this and see how they will be impacted. If it's you yourself, I really need you to be aware. And also, it is so important that you look up what Medicaid is called in your state. Different states call Medicaid different things. And so a lot of people are not aware that they're going to lose healthcare benefits because their state calls it something else and they don't equate the two. Please look it up. This bill is being called one of the greatest wealth transfers that we are seeing in our lifetime. And it's not the first time. We, of course, had Reaganomics. This is trickle down Reaganomics. And in today's society, it does not work. I don't know who needs to hear this, but trickle down economics didn't work the first time. And it's damn sure not going to work now. It's not going to work now. I don't know who needed that, but girl, most likely it's the people who aren't even in the tax bracket to understand what that even means. God bless. Now, if you make a substantial amount of money, this budget bill is going to be great for you. If you are a large corporation who just makes a wealth of money, this is going to be great for you. I'm sure you think that if you are a tipped worker, that now that there are no taxes on tips, that it's going to be great for you. But I also need you to understand that that is cash tips. That is not card tips, okay? If you work a ton of overtime, I'm sure you think that this bill is going to be great for you, but it's going to be a drop in the bucket compared to what they take from you in this bill. Please open your eyes if this is you. I highly doubt that any of my listeners are drinking the Kool-Aid, but I do understand that not everybody wants to invest in this shit. Not everybody wants to talk about it. A lot of people want to be out of it. My name's Bennett and I ain't the fuck in it and I get it, but it ain't that simple. Things are going to start hurting. Eventually you're going to feel the squeeze, babe. You're going to feel the squeeze. And once we forget that the power is in our hands, they really truly win and they can do whatever the fuck they want. So please stay aware. Please be fact checking everything you see online. And please, 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 please go out and vote next year. Oh, and one last thing. I need you guys to understand that alligator Alcatraz place that they're setting up ain't nothing but an internment camp, honey. And it ain't new. Okay, we've done this before. I need you to look up the Japanese internment camps. I want you to understand that this place that they are creating, it does not have surveillance. They will do whatever the fuck they want with the people that are in there. And they're already planning on how they're going to turn this into free slave labor. I need you to wake up and pay attention. Please pay attention. Because these people are telling us exactly what they want to do right to our fucking face. Woo! Okay. Let's lighten up the mood, girl. Let's talk about something fun. It's not fun, but it's funny and it's entertaining, but not really. I hate it for my girl Ashanti. I hate it for my girl Ashanti. If you don't know who Ashanti is, maybe you're just not ingrained in the culture. I just feel inclined that if you're listening to me, then you know Ashanti. You know Rain on Me. You know my girl. Okay, you know Ashanti. And if you don't, she is a very popular and prominent R&B singer from the 2000s. She is married to rapper Nelly. It's getting hot in here, so take off that Nelly. That Nelly. That's the Nelly we're talking about. But we're talking Band-Aid for no reason, Nelly. We're talking bandana on, grills in, so hot in her, Nelly. That is her husband. They have a child together. They also have a TV show on Peacock. Now, I got the login if you want it. I haven't watched the show. I don't intend to watch the show, but clearly the clips have been circulating on the internet. And it's really just about their life together as a family now, because they were together for like a long time. They took a very extended break in their relationship, and then they came back together, got married. Well, I think she got pregnant first and then they got married. And now they have this TV show. So I'm sure you're asking, Naya, what's the commotion? What's really the drama? The drama is Nelly is... I don't know what it is about men getting on the internet or getting on TV and actively and unapologetically embarrassing their significant others. Like, what is with y'all? Like, damn, y'all ain't never learned how to just shut the hell up. You know, it wouldn't be our business if you didn't say it, you know? You can have whatever toxic thoughts or whatever fucked up relationship you want to have, but you go out and you purposely say some shit that's gonna make your wife look bad? What? Read the room. The way I would go upside his head so fast. Oh my gosh. The way, girl.
It's just the baby. It's a lot.
Well, listen, it's all you. I ain't gonna even lie. You know, I ain't got nothing for him.
Child, they would need a whole Zeus security team to get me off of Nelly's ass after he said that shit on national TV. On national streaming TV. Oh my God. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. I have so many thoughts about this. There are a lot of people on TikTok that are saying, yo, Ashanti settled when it came to Nelly. There are a lot of people saying Ashanti knew what it was when she met him. They probably discussed this before. There are a lot of people that are saying that Ashanti is a married single mother. And here's the thing, okay? The term married single mother is a newish term for a very old concept. Like, this has been around for a very long time. It is nothing new for women, married women, to be responsible for or be expected to take care of the brunt of the child rearing and the upbringing of the children. Okay. Ashanti's situation with Nelly and her being a married single mother is something I think a lot of women can relate to. There are a lot of women who are in this situation. The only difference is that Ashanti is on Peacock being exposed in her relationship versus you at home. And nobody knows that your husband doesn't change any diapers. Nobody knows that you're tired of him coming home and just playing video games after you spent the whole day chasing after these damn kids. And he thinks just because he went to work, okay, that he can come home and tap out. You don't get to just come home and tap out. The difference between Ashanti and Nelly and these other couples, though, is that Ashanti has all her own shit. She doesn't need Nelly for anything. She wants to be with this man. She loves this man. And so maybe she did know that he wasn't going to be as present early on in the child's life. I mean, not present, but as active in investing in fatherhood. And I think we have to distinguish, and this is a conversation that needs to be had with the man that you intend to procreate with, okay? You have to discern, does he just want to be a father, or is he willing to invest in fatherhood? Does he just like the idea of a family, or does he just want to appease you because you want kids, or does he actually want to invest in being a dad, which starts even before that child takes their first breath of the air that we breathe? Okay? Is he willing to be there? Does he really want to be there? Does he want to be in the thick of it? Or does he think that that is your role and responsibility until the child is old enough to be an asset or entertaining to him? And don't get me wrong, babies don't do much. Babies just be there. You know, they looking at you looking at them. But you bond, you learn how to do things. There are a lot of amazing, very active fathers out there, right? Do not get me wrong. But I'm willing to bet that when it comes to parenting, that there are a lot of men who genuinely believe that the early stage of having the child, the infant stage, the toddler stage, and the real like work of raising the child is the woman's responsibility or is her forte, or for some reason she'll be better at it. And my question to them is, did you invest in fatherhood? Did you actively try to learn how to do this shit? Because she has to learn, just like you. Things come naturally, but not all the time. You have to learn how to do these things. Did you sit up here and just say, yeah, she's having a baby, she's a mom, it'll come naturally to her, she'll know what to do, and I'll just sit on the sidelines and, you know, once the kid's big enough for me to not do anything to really fuck them up, then I'll step in. You're not invested in fatherhood. You are just someone who happened to have a baby. I respect men who do not want kids because they know that it is not something that they are willing to invest in. I respect that so much because a lot of these motherfuckers should not have had kids. A lot of these motherfuckers, if they could go back and pull it out, they would have. They would have because they didn't really choose fatherhood. They just tripped and stumbled into fatherhood out of, you know, being irresponsible or being whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't actually want to be a daddy. They just happened to be a daddy. And some of these men at that point where they become fathers, they choose to invest. Some of them do not. Some of them are like, yeah, it's on her and I'll just, you know, all I got to do is be here. All I got to do is provide. That's not enough. Y'all see them videos where it's always a daddy and he doing something crazy like holding his baby with one pinky over a fire pit talking about, look at my baby. This is why you can't leave your kids with some of these motherfuckers. Because they don't know what they doing. They ain't trying to learn. They out here throwing your baby into the ceiling fan. Like, come on. Come on. Do better. Do better. It's so common. It's actually very sad to see. I actually hate it. I hate it for her and I hate it for all the girls. Because you deserve to be with a partner who is going to invest in raising your child just as much as you do. Just as much as you do. It is absurd to think that there are some women out here who can't even leave their child with the child's father and confidently know that he'll know what to do if the child needs to go to a doctor appointment, or he'll know what to do if the child is fussy, like he'll know what to do or where things are, or how to handle shit on his own without her because he hasn't invested into learning how to be that child's father. That is absurd. The fact that some of these men really count having their kids with them as babysitting. You can't babysit your own kids. They're your kids. It's called being a daddy. What the hell? What the helly? Hate it. The amount of mental gymnastics and physical labor it takes to be a mother is so discounted. It's just like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. You're just supposed to know how to do this. What? Mothers are learning just like everybody else. Mothers are figuring out just like the fathers should be trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And societally, the weight and the burden, not the burden, but the responsibility of motherhood is so heavy. It's so much heavier than fatherhood sometimes. It feels like. Not to say that fatherhood isn't heavy, but just to say that society puts a lot of weight on women when it comes to being the caretaker, being the nurturer, being mommy, 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 mommy. And sometimes that's all she is. All she is mommy. But once upon a time, she wasn't mommy. She was an artist. She was a dreamer. She liked to go out with her friends and she had fun, but now all she is mommy. And imagine that when you don't have a partner that's a real true teammate, like when you don't have a partner that's really there so that you don't lose yourself. That's devastating. Now, Ashanti has resources, but imagine the women who don't. Imagine the women who are really out here, basically at home, even working too. Like, if we're going to be real, in today's economy, there's not too many stay-at-home wives, like genuine, true stay-at-home wives. A lot of these women are also working, and they're mommy, and they're wifey, and they're responsible for holding everything together around them and nurturing their man and fueling his dreams and taking care of these kids. And she has all of this shit. And he thinks his only responsibility is, hey, I brought home the bacon. Hey, I'm here. I take the kids sometimes so you can run to Target and get some coffee. Ridiculous. Listen, Ashanti and Nelly's situation is what happens when love meets inequality. And yes, could she have known already that Nelly was most likely going to be this type of father? Maybe. And maybe she did sign herself up for this, right? But it doesn't matter. I hate that people say that. I really dislike when people are like, yo, she signed up for this by having a baby with so and she knew what she was getting herself into, as if it like absolves this man of his responsibility. You don't just get to stop being a daddy. Like, you don't just get to be like, I told her I wasn't going to do X, Y, and Z. I told her that this is only as much as I was going to give, and she still chose to have a child with me, so it's all on her. That's absurd. That is absurd. And honestly, there's so much weight on holding mothers accountable for who they have these children with, when really it's not even as much about her as it is about the fact that this motherfucker is the way that he is. Why is he the way that he is? And can we please address that? Can we address that first? Okay? I'm rooting for Ashanti. I love Ashanti down. Nelly is a clown. He been a clown since he did the inauguration. He been a clown since he was in them comments talking about Kamala Harris. At the end of the day, did Ashanti choose to be with a man who's a clown? Yes. And a lot of y'all are choosing clowns as well. Her shit is just public. It is what it is. Sometimes you join the fucking circus, right? But I'm still rooting for them. And I hope that eventually Nelly gets his shit together. I hope that maybe he'll wake up. Maybe he'll wake up so that he can represent his wife better. Represent your person better. Oh my gosh, all of these. No. I think it's just so absurd how many men we've been seeing recently on social media who are representing their wives and their significant others in the worst way that they can. There's no way in hell I'm going to leave out the house and say some shit or show my ass in a way that's going to make my man look bad. That's crazy. That is actually crazy. Represent me well. And when you speak about me as your woman, as your lady, represent me well. Nobody should be able to look at me and you and be like, oh yeah, she a dummy for him. Yeah, she chose a terrible guy. Yeah, she's in a marriage, but she's a married single mom, and it shows. Why the fuck are you out here embarrassing me like that? Hate it. And we're gonna segue. We're gonna segue because I feel like I done harped and preached about that too much. You clearly know how I feel. As a dad, step up, invest in fatherhood. Invest in being a good teammate and a partner to this person that you procreated with, regardless of how you feel about her. Regardless. Because maturity is understanding, maybe we work out, maybe we don't. But we still have this person between us that needs us. So how are we going to show up for them in the best way? How can we do that? This is also a testament to please have conversations before you enter these relationships. Before you enter a seriously committed relationship and or marriage, please have the conversation about the division of labor. That's what y'all need to be talking about. Okay, and I'm not talking about just who's going to wash the dishes. I'm talking about expectations and parenting. I'm talking about, do you think like Nelly? Do you expect me to just do everything on my own until you're ready to step into fatherhood? Or are you going to be a good teammate with me? Those are things that you need to know up front. Up front. So yeah, we're going to segue because one thing that keeps women in these type of relationships often is religion. And I'm going to speak on Christianity because I am a Christian and I don't know as much about other religions. I know what I've seen, I know what I've been through, and I know what I've heard. And so we're going to speak about that today. So listen, we're not going to sit up here and act like Christianity isn't rooted in patriarchy. Most things are rooted in patriarchy. Go cry about it in a corner. It is what it is. We're not going to sit up here and act like Christianity keeps a lot of women in toxic relationships, in relationships with men that they probably should have been left, but stayed because they feel like, well, God's telling me to stay. God is telling me to change him. God is telling me, that he is going to be better and I need to be here with him as he works through his struggles and his transition as a man. Let me tell you something, okay? Some of you will sit up here and say, God told me this or God told me that. Sometimes it ain't God talking to you. Sometimes it's you leaning on your own desire. Sometimes it's you leaning on your own understanding and what you want things to be and how you want things to play out. Because God will actively show you things. You may think, oh, God told me to stay with this man, even though he played in my face, just so I can see him grow as a man. But God is showing you that you don't need to be there. God is showing you that you are suffering in a space that he wants to remove you from. There is no possible way that God would want you to be with someone that causes you to suffer. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it's like this profound journey that some women are on where they feel like, I'm going to be the one to change him. I'm going to be the one to fix him because God said so. Did God say so? Or is that just what you want? Are you leaning on your own desire? Are you leaning on your own understanding? Are you actually paying attention to what God is showing you? Because there's no way that your father would have you with someone who doesn't treat you and love you as much as he does. That does not make any sense. It does not make any sense. And the best thing you can do, and the best way that you can honor God, is to remove yourself from these toxic relationships so that you can love yourself the way that God loves you. And if that man is meant for you, God will work on him with or without you. God, honestly, I am a believer that God will bring people into your life or put you in people's life to show you something. 1000%. But that does not mean that God is saying, hey, go be here and be the force that changes this person. God didn't need your help to do that. God is just teaching us all a lesson, okay? God doesn't need you to be the one to change that man. God is more powerful on his own. He don't really need your help with that. He don't need your help with that. Now, when it comes to the ultra Christian girl character arc that we see with some of these influencers, one point that I feel like is across the board always something that was a profound changing moment and the reason why they sought out this different path. Almost always, it begins or ends with a man. Almost always. Not all the time. Because I am an example of a person who I didn't start going to church to seek out a man. I started going to church because I was severely depressed. Now, did my depression also come from loneliness or bad relationships? Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't start seeking out the Lord in the hopes that if I become a more worthy woman, that a good man will come to me. I started seeking out the Lord because I understood Yo, I done been through all of these things and God has, oh my gosh, God has taken care of me every single time, even when I didn't know it. And so I need to repay that. I need to give it back and I need to get to know him. That is why I sought out the Lord, right? There are some women who genuinely are in church just for man. And of course, I don't find any issue with running to the altar. Like I have no issue with people seeking out Christ. I don't have any issue with women starting their spiritual journey or starting to get closer to God because that's what they want to do for themselves and to grow as a person. But I do have a problem with you women who are really in this just to get a man. It's like when everything else failed, let me turn ultra Christian fundamentalist. Everything else failed for me, and I couldn't find love that way. So now I'm going to run to God. And not only am I going to run to God, but I'm going to start using God's word against other people. That is what I do not like. Ooh, Lord, shame. Some of these women who had a series of failed relationships and then all of a sudden decide to find and seek out Christ or religion, right? Some of y'all are genuinely running to God in order to fill this gap of loneliness and this lack of connection that you didn't find with other people, primarily the men in your life. And there is nothing wrong with running back to the Father. But when you do it, you really have to understand why you're doing this, or there's no longevity. There's no longevity. And a lot of the teachings will go over your fucking head. They'll go smooth over your head. I think the biggest grift of it is some of these women are religious grifters, okay? It is a big ass grift. We're talking to you, Brittany Renner, because why would you play with those people's religion? Why would you play with those people's religion? Brittany Renner is a prime example of a woman where everything else failed. And so she went ultra religious and really jumped off the deep end and secretly for the sake of a man, for the approval of a male gaze, to be deemed as more worthy, to be deemed as a better partner. And hopefully this will get me the guy that I want now. There's no longevity in that. And we see it. We saw it. Playing with this people's religion is, it's absurd. It's so disrespectful. I know a lot of Muslim people. I know a lot of Muslim women who are proud to wear their hijab. They don't feel like their hijab is suppressing them or shrinking them or taking away from them. It's a show of their faith. It is a show of their devotion, okay? Just as any of us show our faith and our devotion to whatever God we serve, these women do that as well. And yes, it is imposed on them in some places, of course, because that's a cultural thing. But Brittany Renner saying, yeah, the hijab was suppressing me, really shows her lack of understanding. This woman will get on the internet and talk about Islam and talk about being Muslim and talk about wearing a hijab, and you still don't know anything about it. Just like the women who will get on the internet, thump that Bible. Thump that Bible hard. Know the Bible through and through, and everything still manages to go over your head? What in the actual hell? Some people latch on to things. There are some people who will latch on to things and really have to go hard at it. So the girls who went Christian and decided to go real deep, far right, real fundamentalist, it's like an obsessive thing. When they get into something, they have to go really deep and really hard in it. And in turn, they have to show everybody else that they're like the most devout. They're the most saved. They know the most. I read my Bible through and through and through and through, and still all that thumping, and they miss even the simplest points. They miss the biggest part of the picture. They miss the biggest part of the picture. And I really hate that. I hate that for the girls. All I'm saying is co-opting a religion in order to use it against other people isn't very WWJD of you. It isn't very Christ-like of you. And just because people agree with you, just because you have people following you, I want you to understand, you got other people who are lost as well following you. You have other people who are lost as well, going along with your Bible thumping bullshit. and you're representing Christ in the wrong way to people, ooh, I hate it. I hate it. I don't think we have the right to police anyone's journey when it comes to seeking out God, no matter what religion they choose, no matter what they want to do. Let them do what they want to do. Okay. This weird, like, sense of control, this weird sense of like superiority that comes with Christianity is one of the things that put me off for a very long time because people introduced God to me, people introduced Christ to me in the wrong way. And these are people who sat up and thumped their Bible day in and day out and then turned around and did some wild shit. Turned around and was sleeping with the pastor's wife, turned around and was using that same Bible to harm their children, turned around and used that same Bible to go out and spew and spread hate. It is not lost upon me that this is the same Bible that was used to enslave my people, which is why it is so important. It is so important to mind and watch who brings this stuff to you, who you choose to follow, who you choose to hear these interpretations from. Because people will show you whatever they want to show you. They'll show you whatever they think is going on sometimes. People who are leaning on their own understanding, those are probably not the people that you want to follow when it comes to like growing your relationship with God. You probably should not deal with them. From my own experience in growing my relationship with God, my greatest advice would be to pinpoint why you're doing this. What is your motivating force for running back to God? And you can always go back to God, right? You can always go back. However, if you are going back out of a desire for something or connection that you have been lacking in a relationship or with a man, I want you to recenter your relationship with God to be further from seeking out a partner, further from seeking out those other things, and closer to seeking out yourself. Because the thing is, when you grow as a person and you may grow in Christ, you'll become a better person naturally. I believe so. If you do it the right way, you'll become a better person when you grow with God. And so the things like the right partner or the right lifestyle, those things are just going to come to you as you grow, as you learn more, as you change and your atmosphere shifts. If you go to Christ, if you go to God, if you start a spiritual journey, okay, seeking out a very specific outcome, if you say, I'm going to start going to church because I want to find my husband, your focus is in the wrong place. You need to start seeking out God so that you can find yourself. And when you find yourself, the person that God truly intends for you, once you're molded to who God wants you to be, will be there for you. It's not like okay, if I go to church and I do all this stuff, then God's going to send me a man. No. God's actually probably going to send you a lot of temptation. God's going to send you somebody that's going to come in and try to shake you up, try to knock you off your shit, if anything. And it'll test your fortitude. It'll test like your devotion. It'll test really like, what are you really here for? Did you come for me or did you come for him? I really pray that my sisters in Christ are freed from the shackles that are, I need to stay with this man so I can fix this man because God told me so. I hope you are freed from the shackles that is, I need to be a very specific type of woman in order to be worthy. And if I do something wrong, that it is inherently my fault because I didn't do X, Y, and Z. I want you to break away from that. I want you to break free from that. Break free from the guilt that patriarchal Christianity has imposed on you as a woman for wanting agency, right? For wanting to choose yourself, for expecting a love that doesn't come with, oh, I just have to do this and suffer with this while God fixes everything. No. God is too good to want you to suffer. God is too good to want you to suffer. That is absurd. I recognize that this type of growth is not linear. And it is not easy. It's hard. It takes a lot of stretching. It takes a lot of sacrifice and self-awareness and understanding, what do you actually want and who do you want to be? Start there. Who do you really want to be? I think what is really lost on some Christians is this idea of tolerance. It's like there's no tolerance. It's very rigid, especially with the fundamentalists. It's like black or white. And I'm just like, Jesus didn't really operate like that. Jesus operated with a lot more tolerance than what some of these people are trying to give out. And I think that it's sad. And I wish that it was different, but understanding and discerning like what's good for you as you learn and grow with Christ, you'll understand the type of people that you can be around, the type of churches you can go to, what type of environment you want to foster, and how you want to share that and spread that with others. So honestly, we'll see the rise and the fall of the girlies who are using Christianity as a method for appeasing men or getting a man or whatever. It is what it is. Some of the girls, it starts off that way and they learn a lot about themselves and about God, and it changes. Other women are still out here, and men too, but I'm specifically talking to women today, are still out here co-opting Jesus for the sake of a man. It's actually very frustrating to see. I don't like seeing it. I don't like seeing it. I hate it, actually. And I hope that they grow out of that. Girl, we had a kiki today. Today was a little bit of a serious episode. Maybe we should do something fun next episode. Maybe we should do a story time. I'm thinking about talking about the Jim Bro to Red Pill pipeline, and I have a story time about this one particular police officer I dated who fine black man, mega supporter down, girl. Oh, yeah, I've been holding that one. I've been keeping that one to myself because it's embarrassing. I used to be on here telling all my business, all my tea, but girl, no, that one, I can probably take that to the grave. So maybe we'll talk about that. But I also have a recent dating experience, so maybe we'll talk about that as well, because it was very interesting and it gave jump scare, and I know you're gonna love it. So I don't know yet. So maybe it'll be one of those two things. If you have a suggestion for the next episode between those two of something you want to hear, DM me, comments, hey, put it on the Instagram, follow everything. Everything's in the description box. And truthfully, if you made it to this point, baby, I love you. I love you down. See, you rock with me. You rock with me for real, and I rock with you back. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for your time. I hope you got something from today's episode and it was entertaining, if not informative. And I will see you guys in the next one.